Hey, welcome back to Angry Badger Minis. We're trying out some more stuff here. Hopefully the music isn't too loud, but it is in the system now, so it's not a recording that's just out in the background. Hopefully the camera will be working out well. We've got it set as high as we can go. This is a new program that I'm doing, and it's actually Wi-Fi streaming to my OBS. I don't know how this will work for live, but you know, we can't even do live anyway. But anyway, get to what we're doing here. We've got we're putting together a Ravenwing, and as you can see, we've got a ton of bikes. There's even more up here in the screen. Down below here, I've got 5 sergeants. And basically I'm going to have 5-man squads, looks like, for the most part, and then I've got 3 more sergeants I need to make. That'll top out at 40 regular bikers, so with 8 squads at least for now. And then we also have these guys right here. Okay, now I know, oops, I don't know, that's probably backwards, but anyway, the Deathwing Command Squad, I'm sorry, Ravenwing Command Squad, good grief. I know that the apothecary is not a thing anymore, but you know, again, that's really dependent upon, you know, how I decide to play or what have you. If anything, it's just one extra dude and he just looks cool. But what we're working on, just to give you an idea, is all of these models right here are the push fits from the Dark Vengeance box set, and that's all of them. Okay, for a total of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, including the sergeants. And then I have 1, 2, hold on a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, 4, 5, yeah, 6 boxes of the Ravenwing Battle Force thing. Let me get a better picture here for you. Yeah, this doesn't have the shrink wrap on it. So essentially what we've got here, and I just realized I could have got you a better picture, is in the box, if you're not already aware, and I'm sorry about my camera setup here, but we'll figure it out. You've got, you know, 6 bikes, 1 land speeder, 1 attack bike, but I don't know if this is going to be consistent for all of it, but in this first box that I opened, it actually gave me 7 bikes. So we may have at least another 6 more bikes than we were planning on. But anyway, I'm just going to sit here. I'm not tired. It's about midnight, and I'm going to probably stay up. And I figured I'd go ahead and do some recording or whatever. Test this out. And maybe we'll post this tomorrow. Alrighty, or rather today. So enjoy the music, and maybe I'll have something to say as we go along. Now you may be thinking to yourself, why the hell is he doing all that? Shouldn't that have been done before he put it together? Well, yes, it could have been, but what I'm doing right now is, if you have any experience with the Space Marine bikes, they never really seem to line up just like they should. And I know some of you are probably sitting there going, well, dude, why don't you get a freaking, you know, file or whatever? Well, I don't have one available at the moment, and it's not that important to me at the moment. You know, really, you know, this is going to be cleanup work that I'm going to do right before I paint. I mean, I've still got, you know, however many stinking orcs plus these guys and everybody else that I'm going to do, that I've got to drill gun barrel holes and everything else. And you know, the goal here initially is to get all these models put together to a point that I can play with them. So That's where we're at with that. Essentially, I'm doing the same thing for each one, and believe it or not, the hardest part so far for putting these particular bikes together was finding all of the extra bits that make them into the Ravenwing. They're pretty big sprues, and I have one here. They're pretty big sprues with a ton of stuff on them, and as you can see, I mean, I've already clipped what I needed. The rest is pretty much extra, and I may be able, I mean, you know, some of the stuff's for the attack bikes, of course, but, you know, and the land speeder, but I may be able to use a lot of this iconography and stuff like that, or the icons and whatnot, furthermore on the bikes, or even for terrain down the road, or, you know, stuff like that. But again, like I said in my last video, I'm not real big on putting statues on things. I mean, you know, God forbid, you know, you shoot half the statue off, and I know it's not real life, but if you did, now all of a sudden you've got to adjust burn fuel and everything else for adjusting for weight of this gigantic piece of ceramite or whatever the heck it was that you put on there for no reason. I know there's servitors and things like that, and that's what they're there for, is to fix that kind of stuff, but you know, that's not how my Space Marines flow. That's not how they throw down. So I'd also like to know in the comments how my voice sounds. I've got my microphone a lot closer. I am not sure. Yeah, so I should be feeding totally off my microphone and not my phone itself, because I have that muted on OBS. So hopefully that's going to work out just fine. And I also hope that my voice isn't too monotone for you and boring. You know, this is the journey. You know, the journey is, you know, putting this stuff together, and can it be done? Does a person have the stamina, I guess, or endurance and motivation to go through all the warehouse of shame they created for themselves? Yes, I do. This, you know, makes it a little bit better. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I'm looking forward to the live stuff is it's almost like I'm sitting here, you know, with somebody else, you know, doing the work with them, you know, enjoying our time, you know, two friends hanging out, and you know, making models. But I'd get really creative late at night and stuff, and it's just how it is. So. Oh, and in case you're wondering, right now I'm putting in about, I don't know, maybe a consistent 3-4 hours a day. It's about all I have at the moment. But you know, we'll get it done. I will say that while I'm having to do all this stuff, you know, and it's more work than the push fit models, one thing that I'll end up having to do, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but it didn't matter what I did. If you can see those gaps in the bikes, it didn't matter what I did. I could not get some of these to go together, and I even used this. A clamp, if you will, but you know, that's easily remedied. You know, you can use green stuff. I could spray, you know, or put super crazy glue in there and then spray some oh gosh, what's it called? You know, it's basically an Insta-Cure. I forgot the name of it now. But anyway, instantly cures the stuff. You know, I could, you know, there's other things I could do. I mean, it's an easy fix for the most part. And top it off, everything's gonna be black, so there's that. And that's part of the reason that I've moved to this versus you know, some of you may be asking, you know, why didn't you just start painting your works? Well, the reason being is, you know, between budget, time, and all of that kind of stuff, my goal is to batch paint put together and then batch paint everything that I have that requires itself to be black. you know, I mean, the majority of the color. That's essentially what I plan on doing as far as, you know, the base, if you will. I'm not planning on doing a lighter color then going black over it and stuff like that. I mean, it's just kind of pointless. I actually started thinking about whether or not I wanted this Ravenwing army to actually be black. I know that that's what they are, but each, you know, my understanding is each successor chapter or what have you has their own, you know, of each, you know, just as normal as you know, as the normal, you know, parent chapter. And it makes me wonder what the colors could potentially be like on these bikes and how neat that might be to have something that wasn't necessarily black. I don't know, Angels of Absolution, or I'm trying to remember the different ones that are out there, but you know, it could be a thing. My hang up is I've always wanted one of, you know, every one of the main chapters, if you will, just, you know, for display. Like my Salamanders army, my new Salamanders army, I'll put it that way, they will not have the color green that is currently, you know, advertised or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be closer to how it was, you know, in you know, the 31st millennium, more of that OD green, you know, color, not a shiny green. I just don't like it, and I've already toyed around with that with my Adeptus Titanicus, so I understand, you know, what it's going to look like, and I really like the scheme. I think the bronze and stuff like that will look even better on it versus that shiny green gold or whatever. And it's just, you know, in my mind, I mean, I know I've read the fiction, you know, Space Marines, as soon as they're done, you know, fighting and all this stuff, their armor's maintained, repainted, you know, re-blessed, all that kind of stuff. But that's not what I want on my battlefield. I want my guys, you know, my salamanders or whoever it is, I want them to be relatively battle worn. Now I don't want to go as far as making them look completely muddy and dirty, like, you know, some stuff that I see out there. Mind you, great paint jobs, you know, I mean, great, and they've obviously got their technique down where I'll, you know, be learning that technique as I go along. But you know, sponging and things like that, I'll be testing it out on other things for sure before I commit to it. But you know, it's not, you know, I don't look at Warhammer 40,000. I mean, there's a reason, you know, grim dark. I mean, that, you know, that's what appeals to me, not this other stuff. So I mean, again, don't get me wrong, outstanding paint jobs, heavy metal is pretty cool, you know, it's what helps sell the hobby, but it's not, it's just not what I want, you know. Okay, so we're having some slight difficulty here. Perhaps we should have, yep, that's what we should have done. Oh. Right. Essentially, the problem I ran into here was that the legs have to be put on around the bike, not like, I guess, the normal biker legs. So lesson learned for me. No worries, we got it. And presto, no problem. Okay, luckily we didn't, I don't try to pile on the glue too much if I can help it. And I think I said in my other video, for me, sometimes I look at it as kind of having a working time, if that makes sense. Like I believe there's a little bit of a working time. But what I'm trying to figure out at the moment is, do I want to, I'm gonna have a bunch of extra hooded robe parts here, because I'm only making 3 more sergeants. What do I want to do with those legs? Do I want to have a sub faction? Something else I plan on doing, we've already got a couple bikes. I'd have to find them though, is I want to make, and I have done it before, is make my own little racing game of 40K with the motorcycles, because I used to race motocross, and it's until we moved here, and it'd be pretty cool. Call it death race, whatever you want. But I think it'll work out. Sometimes things want to get away from you there. And again, if you're watching this far ahead, please do me a favor and let me know how the music's working out. If it's working out, if it's too loud, do we need to, am I sitting here just rambling, talking on too much, or what the deal is? And you're like, Scott, just shut the hell up and put your models together. But I'm trying to get into the practice of, when I go live and stuff, and I can glance up at your questions and things like that and answer them. We missed it. I'm just real glad I can use my camera on my phone now. I've got a really nice camera on my phone, and I can't believe that that I was having such an issue trying to use it. And you'll have to beg my pardon here. Apparently I forgot to clip off the last set of there they are, robed chest pieces. Or chest and back rather, flat to flat, for anybody that's new to the hobby. That way you don't really cut into your model. Also though, that being said, if you've got, the sprue is really close, to your model, it's better to go ahead and turn the clippers in, so that way you can just go back and trim the plastic off later. There's no book to this or anything. It's just, years of experience. And I'll be honest with you, and just playing, in the time I've been involved in this hobby since '98, I didn't have clippers probably until, hell, I don't know, middle of 2000, something like that. Everything was done with an X-Acto knife. And a lot of times I just cut it or did what I could, and then I twisted the rest off and went back and cleaned it. Yes, I paid for that a couple of times, tore a hole in the model, but, it was easily fixed. And I'm sure, those of you that are veterans to any type of model making, you've done it as well, and you understand what I mean. So. Plan here is to get these sergeants done, and I don't know, we might call it a night. Gotta get up early for something unrelated. Oh, another thing was, one of the Dark Vengeance boxes didn't have the bases to the bikes. That's another reason you don't see bases on the bikes right now. So I actually went on eBay and bought some. So and I'm torn also about whether or not to cut these little tabs off here. I'm just not really into the whole the bike is leaning thing, jinking. I think it needs to be straight up and down, in my opinion. Versus like this. It's more like that. But that's, I don't know. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I still got time. I'm not in a rush to put them on a base right now. So, all right. What do we got going on here? Okay, we got that, and we probably need to go ahead and put the fairing on first. And this. It's been a long time since I've put together Space Marine bikes, but I remember them back when I built my Salamander's army that I gave my wife, because she was like, don't, I was gonna strip them down. She's like, don't do that. She likes color green, so I gave them to her, and it was a different method back then. The rage, all the rage of painting that style back then was dry brushing the entire army, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, the entire army is nothing but dry brushed, except for the little bit of freehand on the flags and stuff. Maybe I'll break them out one day and show everybody what I'm talking about. But well, and the freehand on their shoulders where I put my last name and stuff. No, for no particular reason. It was just something to write on there, and I guess practice my scripting, if you will. But yeah, I mean, that's about all there is to that. If you're not aware, you definitely need to put the backpacks on first. It'll make your life a hell of a lot easier, I promise. Here I am backing up like I normally do, trying to be back in my chair instead of keeping my fingers or hands where they need to be, so you can see what's going on, if it even matters. And I'm sure, you know, by the time I get to painting, I'll have developed a method to where maybe we can get a camera that's going overhead, you know, some kind of scaffold or something. But I mean, now that my phone works, I mean, my gosh, I mean, that is like amazing to me. Why do I feel like I'm missing a backpack here? 1, 2. He's got one. I am. All right. Well, back to gotta get another backpack here. I don't know how I did that. There it was. So I've got more bikes somewhere else. I mean, I saw them the other day in a box that was just to give you an idea for these sergeants, this is what's left, is, you know, left arm, an entire you know, midsection, legs, chest, or I mean shoulder pads, all this. So I mean, you figure it's got to be at least, you know, another couple of bikes, whatever. The bikes that I have that I'm talking about, I'm trying to remember how I got them. I don't remember buying them, to be honest with you. And no, I did not steal them. I think they were given to me, or somebody was trying to get out of the hobby or something, and it was just a bunch of stuff that they had. I just can't remember. I know, you know, I mean, for you young guys, you won't know this, but you know, the internet for public consumption, if you will, came about in '96, and you know, so eBay and things like that didn't exist for a little bit, and looks like we might be out on this tube, but there really wasn't much out there other than, you know, like Yahoo and things like that after a while. I don't remember exactly when eBay came about, but I know that it, you know, it wasn't back then. And of course, I got into the hobby in '98, sorry. And yeah, it's kind of a, wait a minute, no, hold on, let me think about that. No, internet came out around '98, because yeah, that's about the time that I went somewhere else, and I need to grab some glue real quick. Of course, it'd be nice if we could find it. This is what happens when you clean your work area after every project. And we're back. I buy these from Walmart, basically 2 packs. And you got to be careful about that too when you go to Walmart, man. I mean, they're freaking little. I'll tell you what, man. So when I get these, I typically get them from the paint section, okay? And that's how I buy them. If you don't, and you go to the arts and crafts section, believe it or not, you will pay more for one than you will for 2 out of the paint section. Just keep that in mind. Absolutely, and it's been that way for as long as I can remember. I also keep all of this stuff. You know, you can make tank barrels. You know, if you remember the pictures or the video and stuff from my Space Hulk, these were the big pipes on the walls and stuff like that. All of this stuff can be terrain if you have the right imagination. Alright, let's get back to it. Just so you're aware, I can't hear the music. I haven't quite figured out how the headphone thing works, you know, so that I can hear what's going on when it comes to, you know, any type of audio or anything like that. I've seen other YouTubers do it, but I've yet to be able to achieve that goal. I also don't really have a good set of headphones for this at the moment that I would commit to this, so I guess there's nothing lost there. And to be honest with you, I don't know, putting that stuff on my head trying to do this probably be pretty annoying. So if you've got any you know, tips or anything, please let me know. Alrighty, so now we're getting there. Put a little glue there, a little glue on the back seat, or the backrest rather. That way he doesn't go anywhere when we're done. One thing about this with these bikes though is you won't, I mean, you can get a little bit of flexibility, you know, to move the body around, but not much. It just never seems to work out that way. I mean, like I plan on trying to make these guys face the opposite direction as the sergeants on the other bikes, but in order to do that, most of it's going to be head work. It's not going to be, you know, from the waist. It's just not going to work out that way. It just never does. But again, I mean, this is a, you know, I mean, I have you know, one box of what is it called, the Indominus box set, and I really only bought it for the rule book and the miniatures. It's not like I need Primaris, because I've got 12 boxes of the whatever the 8th edition one was called, I don't remember now. And of course all my Necrons are, you know, the older style Necrons, including the 4 monoliths that I have, which you know, I mean, things are going to change, and that's something I've got to get used to. I mean, I'm not real happy, to be honest with you, this whole, I mean, the Primaris Marines look amazing. I mean, hands down they do, but to be completely honest with you, I mean, they said they're not going to get rid of, you know, the, you know, legacy firstborn Marines are not going away. And of course, you know, it's easy for someone like me to complain with all the money that I've invested, not to mention other folks out there. but I don't like the way that they look standing next to, you know, the firstborn. It's just my preference, I guess, and I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame, really. I mean, I saw a video today from a portion of a video today from Midwinter Minis. He was painting an Imperial Knight, and what he had said was, or he showed on the back of a gun. I mean, I don't know anything about 3D printing, and I'm hoping to get involved in it, but he showed where you could see where this, you know, that had come out of a 3D printer. And so that's interesting that GW, I mean, I'm not holding it against them, you know, I mean, but it's interesting that that's, you know, how they're producing minis these days. So now, you may be asking yourself why I don't just put the fairing on, meaning this piece right here that goes on the front of the bike. Reason being is, when it comes to this arm right here, or any arms, you really want to wait till the end so you can make sure that you're, you know, you can get your hand where you want it and make sure it actually grips the, you know, the actual throttle and whatnot. And I remember thinking to myself, and I was actually laughing at myself, because I'm sitting there going, man, you know, it's crazy that they, you know, everybody's got their sword arm, you know, is in their left hand. And then it was like, oh yeah, no shit, dude. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but, you know, the throttle's in the right hand. So, you know, it is what it is. Actually, put just a dab on there. And hopefully, we've got enough room here. Clip that, and then push it in to make it grab, because with that body turned, it's turning the, hold on, let me show you what I'm talking about here. With that body turned, it's turning the body away from the arm, so I've got to hold it there until it glues, just to give the body a little more flair. I didn't put enough glue to do that, but that's okay. We'll drop a little bit down in the gap there, and then that should hold it, and then we will leave him alone because I know from personal experience, if I keep screwing around with that, it's gonna come unglued, and I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be an angry badger. But I'm happy with the pace at which this is going. I imagine I'll probably be done with these bikes. What is this? We just started last night. So I'm thinking we'll be done before next Thursday. And moving on to the next, well, I mean the bikes and the land speeders and everything. And we'll be able to move on to the next army, which should be Black Templars. And they've got, you know, I've got all the upgrades and stuff, and that's, again, that's what takes the time, is, you know, finding all that stuff and clipping them out. Now, they're going to be more of, if I'm not mistaken, I have them set up as more of a close combat, you know, unit. And I've been kind of sorting some things out in my head as well. They currently, I don't believe, have any drop pods assigned to them. I might be wrong, because I know that they have a Land Raider Crusader, because that's just, you know, Black Templar. But I may assign some of those drop pods to them. You never know. You know, it's not like I don't have a bunch of them, right? And I want to make it clear too, I'm not bragging here, guys. I saw, you know, some of the comments, you know, in the one place in the Warhammer 40K orcs you know, is, man, you must be rich and stuff. Trust me, I'm not in the slightest. What I should have said in one of my videos, or I think it was a video, yeah, it was one of my videos. This stuff was accrued over time, you know, multiple years, well over a decade actually. But more importantly, I want to spend my money on something that I get my money's worth, which is, you know, I mean, sitting here doing this, for those of you that, you know, obviously enjoying the hobby, you know, you get that. I mean, this is what you enjoy to do, whether it's a stress reliever or whatever. But I want to have something to show for my money. You know, believe it or not, I don't really drink. There was a running joke. Pretty much every unit I was ever in, and quite a few chaplains said this, was I sure that I was, you know, a Marine? Because I didn't womanize, I didn't drink, I didn't dip, I didn't smoke, and you know, it's kind of funny. But, you know, I mean, again, I'm not trying to lecture anybody on their, you know, drinking or anything like that. I just, you know, I wanted to spend my money in a different way. And I've always been an artist. I've always done stuff. I've made a comment to somebody also that I mean, there was a time where Aliens and Predator were my favorite. And I mean, it was like, you know, for me as a kid, that was like all I cared about. I mean, I drew pictures. I painted on t-shirts, so I had Aliens and Predator t-shirts. I had the comics from Dark Horse Comics. And then I took the few G.I. Joes that I had, because, you know, we weren't really well off, if you will. Not that I am now either, but I took the few G.I. Joes that I had, some of them, and I would, you know, if I had an old sock or something like that, I'd cut where the elastic is, it goes up and around your leg, I'd cut that off a little bit and glue it around their head like they had dreadlocks, and then I'd use paper clips as the blades. It was pretty funny, you know, now that I look back on that. But, you know, it brought me happiness as a kid. And you know, where I was, there wasn't, you know, didn't have like a neighborhood full of kids or anything like that. Relatively similar to where I am now, except we have a ton of land, you know, the business is, and it takes up a lot of our time. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that wants to live on top of somebody, and I'm sure some of you can relate to that. So, but this was generally always once I got into this hobby, man, I was hooked, you know. And like I said, in the other video, I had you know, 5 Space Marines or 10 Space Marines, and on the box it said Space Wolves and whatever, and I didn't know what I was doing with those things. Matter of fact, the very first Vindicare Assassin, I had that model as well, and I just thought he was some little ninja model. I didn't know anything about it. And you know, of course, not knowing what I was doing, pretty much ruined it with enamel paint along with other stuff, you know, the other stuff. And it's ancient history, but, you know, this has been something that's stuck with me. And of course, like most of you see this stuff in the store, and gosh, what is that guy's name? His name is Adam, but I can't remember what the name of his show is. He's another miniature guy. It was like 2 or 3 years ago I saw his video on don't be a 40K or miniature hoarder, and I mean, I laughed my way through that whole video, and I was like, if this guy only knew. But this is gonna, you know, we're gonna get through this, and it's gonna be quite an accomplishment. My wife, as supportive as she is, you know, she's not here at the moment, and I sent her pictures of all the orcs in the case together, and she thought it was really awesome. So that's you know, that's where we're headed with this. And I mean, one step at a time. You know, could I get everything painted, you know, by the end of the year? No, of course not. I mean, unless I just wanted to slap some coats on there or something. But we're going to put this sword on last now that we're pretty much done. Put the fairing on. And the guns. Got these two little holes back there. They've always been a pain in the butt. I mentioned in the video that I might not make all of these if I could cut off the wings, like make them all into Ravenwing. But I don't have to cut them off because you have the other fairing that has no wings on it. This is just an upgrade, basically. But I think I'm just gonna go all Ravenwing. That's what I wanted for these guys, and that's what I bought them for. So why not, right? Let's see. It is slightly disappointing that you know, the guns look so much different than, you know, the box, whatever, Dark Vengeance box set guns. But it is what it is. I mean, nothing you can do about it. For some reason, this does not want to go in there. That's not a good sign. Not at all. Almost like it's not made for that or something. Come on, man. There we go. Well, that really had to put that in there. Okay, well, that's a new one for me. Yeah, that definitely did not want to go in there. It's like the hole's a little too skinny. Yep. And of course I gotta line these guns up. And I got a little too maybe overzealous. This one gun right here in particular, cutting it off the sprue, and I cut some of the magazine off, which kind of sucks, but I don't think anybody's gonna notice. It's not gonna win any Golden Demon awards or anything, and I'm not even trying for that. I'm just trying to have a nicely painted army that I can have fun with. I'm already sitting here thinking about tactics for these guys and stuff, and I'm hoping that we can get to the point where I'm making these, gaming videos, and I think it'll be really neat. I remember back in 3rd edition, a lot of the the battle reports, and they used to put what they would call tactics into the game, or into your codex, and I get it, there's only so much you can do with the limited amount of time, but I mean, most of the games I played, we never stopped at 6 turns. It was all annihilation one way or the other. It was all about wiping out that last guy, and those games would go forever. But it was good times. But they did have some really good missions that I don't see anymore, which is unfortunate. Like the breakout missions and stuff, where, yeah, you had the points, but you were set up in sort of a disadvantaged way. And all I'm seeing as far as battle reports online now these days is, basically everybody starts out even, same distance from an objective marker, same bit of terrain. There's no worry about anything. And I mean, for match play, okay, I hand that to you. And and I realize that most of the guys these days, that's all they want to do is match play. But I mean, even back then, there were competitive tournaments, and they still, what am I trying to say? There was still, there was still a challenge to it. And I don't know, it just seems like that's not the route we're going anymore. And I can hear some of you guys saying right now, well, no, everybody wants things right now, and nobody wants to wait for anything. And you know, people are impatient, the younger crowd's impatient. You're probably right in a lot of ways. I mean, look at Dawn of War 3. What the hell kind of, you know, hot mess was that? And I don't even say that phrase, hot mess, but I'm saying it now. My gosh, man, this MOBA crap, out of control. I mean, I've never even touched that, gosh, what is the name of that stinking game? League of Legends, that's it. And get enough commercials about it. Can't believe they're still doing that. But, you know, it's, again, each to their own. But I tried to give Dawn of War 3 a chance, but it just, I mean, the colors are bad. There's no, you know, the army painter sucks. You gotta, you know, I don't know, man. None of it. I don't like when there's a meta, if you will. That's one of the things I liked about 1 and 2, especially with the Dawn of War Apocalypse, is I don't have to have, you know, a human player. I can put that thing on insane or hard or insane and go to town and, you know, and have a real challenge where, you know, and I know there's guys out there, well, you know, the algorithm, or you can always figure it out. That's not true. And apparently they have trouble with balancing issues. And, you know, I don't win all the time. You know, and like I said, I'm hoping that I'll be able to live stream some of that. I don't know if you guys are even interested in watching, but, you know, they were good games. I mean, and they need to, whoever's in, you know, somebody out there needs to revisit that, you know, do a remaster of Dawn of War 1. And it would be real simple, in my opinion. Just take the graphics of 2, stick them on 1, and I mean, you'll be golden, you know. And you know, even number 1, Dawn of War 1, the only thing lacking, in my opinion, was, you know, the battle sizes. You know, I mean, make them bigger, you know. And I remember, some of you might remember this, when, you know, like the Tyranids or whatever, like, oh well, the engine, you know, there's no way it could handle, you know, the Tyranids or anything like that. It's too massive, you know, to make it balanced and blah blah blah. Man, the Tyranid mod guys blew that theory out of the water. I mean, hell of a job they did, you know. And then you've got Dawn of War Apocalypse with Titans and everything else. I mean, you know, it's freaking awesome. Now, you know, the graphics don't work as good, or don't look as good as Dawn of War 2. There's no cover system or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. Still a freaking awesome game. Let's see here. Make sure I don't get my pieces confused, you know. Looks like we're starting to do that. Okay. And I'm having a crisis here too. Crisis, man. Listen to me. I sound like some whiny kid or whatever. What I'm trying to figure out is, with all these extra parts that I have, if it wouldn't be a good idea for the sergeant, instead of having a flat paneled, you know, pauldron here, he's got the Ravenwing one on one side, but there's some extra pieces in here that maybe I could just put it on the other side too, but it would be going the wrong way. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, that answers that question. Sometimes you gotta talk out loud, I guess, for things to make sense. Alright, let's put this sword arm on. Then we can put our pauldrons on. Pauldrons. And the question is, can we do this in a way... See, all of these swords are exactly the same because this is the push fit model. Is it worth it for me to try to... What I'm doing here, sorry, I need to get back into cameras. I'm roughing up the inside. Is it worth it for me to try to go through the effort of putting it in a different angle? Or just, you know... I'm not real big on the whole my sword is in the air thing. Look at me, shoot me. But turning the sword over like this, I like you're getting ready to spear somebody. Let's see here. Yeah, like that. What do you guys think? Pretty good? Plus it'll help with storage, I think. That's always storage is always a commodity. Nope, now I did it. Once you move it, man, you almost kind of screw yourself a little bit. Trying to prop his arm a little bit on top of the handlebars here. Mainly because I want to give it some added strength, not just to hold it here for it to glue. Because this blade looks like if it got caught on something, it could bend pretty easy or break, and I don't want that to happen. And I have extra blades like this, so I thought about going back to these guys who have chain swords and cutting them off, cut the chain sword off, you know, and cut the what am I trying to say here? Well, now that I think about it, I'm trying to think, was that part of him, or did I put that on? If I put that on, I think I put that on. Well, then I could rip that off and then just replace the entire arm. That would be pretty good, maybe. I don't know. A little bit of diversity. Oh my gosh. That word is actually in my vocabulary now. So let's see here. Rolling up on 1 o'clock. Let's see if we can get this done while we're... This is what happens when I start, you know, brainstorming, when I need to focus on just getting the job done. At least right now. Yeah, now this guy, because of his turn, his body being turned like that, it's going to force me to bring the sword up some. That stinks. One other slight problem I have, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you do, is pets. Pets and you know, little hairs floating around. It kind of get on things. This one does not want to come. Here we go. Did not want to come off of there. I wonder why they got rid of the apothecary on the bike. It's really weird. I don't understand that. Especially after they made that, you know, that whole set. If you know why, please put it in the comments. 'Cause I sure as hell don't. This little roughing things up is made easier when your tip is broken. Just a little miniature veteran tip. No pun intended. Too. There we go. It's better. Okay. Now we're going to put on the Pauldrons. Do a little bit of cleanup on this because it might be a little too hard to reach. Stay on my fingers. Alright, and the head. And I elected to go, excuse me, Coof. I'm kidding. I elected to go with just the normal Space Marine helmet with no hood because the hood, the hooded face, again, why are you not wearing a helmet, first of all? With all this, you know, fire going on. Second of all, the hood has no ripples in it as if it's, you know, being blown at all. It just looks square, and it's just, I don't know, I don't like it. So these guys have antennas on their helmets, you know, that'll work for me. And you know, the other sergeants, they don't have helmets, but they've got the grill over their face, you know, over their mouth, so that works too. So we've got a little bit of, you know, differing heads, if you will. All right, last part for the night, we're gonna call it quits, is this Ravenwing banner pole, I guess we call it. And I don't know this for certain, but my understanding is the Dark Angels, well, I mean, I say I don't know this for certain. I've read the Horus Heresy books and everything. You know, you have the Deathwing, if you've read any of the other, you know, short stories and stuff, where they came from similar, like, I don't know, that one particular book I have, it's called Deathwing. The guys, I guess they're semi-Native American, if that's what you want to call them, to compare them to something. You know, the ones that went after the Gene Stealer cult, and or discovered the Gene Stealer cult, and then ended up, you know, staying back there to look after their You know, they're people. How far up does this thing go? I think it goes right up against it. But I guess when I look at all these wings and stuff, especially these particular poles, it makes me think like, you know, they're what we would, you know, term as, you know, a Native American, or, you know, something like that, like a, you know, headdress in a way. And I don't know, it's interesting. I know that's not what it is. I mean, but you know, if you take a look at the Emperor, you know, he looks like a Native American to me. You know, same bone structure, tint, the hair, everything. For some reason this does not want to line up correctly. It's weird. Almost like it was cast crooked, which it very well may have been. Never can tell, GW. Never can tell. I'm hoping one day to go to Warhammer World just to see the museum and stuff and take pictures and whatnot, but the way things are going, I don't know, we may all end up not having a hobby. And what I mean by that is between the markets and, you know, the push towards, you know, getting away from anything that's deemed violent or whatever. You know, certain folks have their way. All this stuff, you know, could be deemed, you know, bad. I mean, think about it. How many people can't stand video games, or they think video games are the reason, you know, the world is bad? It's all about the person and what they choose to do with whatever tools they are given. We may have to come back later and re-glue these things, because this is crazy. These are not they were not cast correctly. That's for sure. Man, nothing about this little pole tells me it's supposed to be able to twist in the wind. It looks like it's metal to me. The real question is how long till they break off? Alright, how are we looking over here? Ah, you did shift. This is why you're gonna see the angry badger. Stop shifting on me. That one's not bad. This one wants to. One of these kids is not like the other. This one wants to be on autopilot. But I think we accomplished it, guys and gals. So as you can see, we are making progress. I gotta put this away so that I have this, maintain the habit that my little one can't reach up here and grab anything sharp. And dog decides to put her nose up here, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, goals accomplished. We've got 3 more sergeants, which gives us 8 total for 8 squads of 5 bikes, which will work out to, at least right now, you know, 40 Ravenwing bikers. Well, thanks for sticking around, and hopefully this worked out well. And depending on how long it takes for YouTube to put it into the high definition, well, take care now. See you next time.